Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today behind me we're going to be doing our 50-gallon lowboy reveal. It's been a long time in the making. As many of you know, we've done a phase 4 in the fish room build out. So the first thing we did is we got the double 125 stand built. We moved the lower 125 into place with the Oscar and the tilapia, and then above that we added another 125 with the Severums and the Geophagus. The next tank in that order was the 50-gallon lowboy. We finally got that Aquascape. We added some fish to it. It's not done completely yet, but I think you're going to enjoy it, so stay tuned. So here we have it. This lowboy sits in the middle of the other side of the fish room, and surrounding that is the couch. So you can see here I turned all the other lights off in the fish room so we could get a better look at this tank. I love where it's situated. Again, the idea was we have a lowboy on the other side filled with shell dwellers. I love looking at that tank. I wanted the same dimensions, so I wanted that 10-inch tank. It's 4 feet long, it's 2 feet wide, so it's a very low tank as the name implies. It is a 50-gallon, but I really wanted that in the center of the room on the other side, and so that's what we did. So we'll get into the fish in a little while. We took all of your suggestions into account. We had lots of different suggestions in terms of stocking, anywhere from other types of shell dwellers to South American cichlids and Central American cichlids and large schools of tetras and cory cats, mud skippers. There were so many different suggestions, and I think you're going to be happy with what we've chosen so far, and there is still more to add with this tank. So why this layout? Joanna did all of this. I had nothing to do with the aquascaping, and I really feel like this is the best aquascape she has ever done by far. And I wanted something relaxing to look at. I had in my mind this idea of a central area where there would be rock, and we've got this dragonstone, and there would be wood, and you see the manzanita wood sticking out in various places, and a decent amount of plants, and the plants still have a lot of growing in to do. But I wanted that central area, and then around that central area I wanted an open area where fish could swim. And so when we add other fish, there will be space for them to kind of move around. And so that was kind of the look I was going for, or that I wanted, and Joanna really just nailed it in terms of what I was expecting. And so here you can see kind of a different perspective, and so this is from a side view of it. Again, you can appreciate a little bit of the open area that fish will have to swim in, and so I'll kind of take you around the tank and show you the different views. And what I really love about it is there's so much depth to everything that she did, and so many places where fish can hide, and that's one of the things I think is so cool, especially as a younger kid. I love to watch the fish interacting with the rock work, with the decorations, with the plants, and that I think this tank has really accomplished that. So very happy. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on, what kind of equipment we have. So thing number one, the lights. The light is just one Phoenix Stingray light, is a 48-inch light, and that is going to be more than enough light for this tank. It's only 10 inches tall, and one Phoenix Stingray light with these low light plants, we'll talk more about them in a second, is going to be more than sufficient. I really love the very low profile of the light. It doesn't take up a lot of space on top of the tank. In fact, I've done a video where we talk about lighting and why it's so important. I'm going to put a link in the upper right hand corner. Definitely recommend you check that out. I did get the light from Aquarium Co-op. I will put a link in the description for that as well in case you're interested in looking at that light a little bit further. But it's a great light at a really good price, and as you know, if you've watched our other videos, a lot of our tanks have the Phoenix Stingray light. In terms of filtration, I'm doing something I really don't do a lot of, and that is in this tank I didn't want sponge filters, right? I love sponge filters, and as many of you know, I have sponge filters in the vast and pretty much all of our tanks, but this was gonna have more of a display feel to it, and so I didn't want sponge filters in this tank. And as I've said before, all filters have a purpose, and so with this tank we decided to go ahead and use a Sun canister filter. It is the 702B. It runs about 264 gallons per hour, so with a 50-gallon tank I'm getting a turnover of about 5 times an hour, and that is going to be really more than sufficient. Again, I will put links in the Amazon links in the description below if you're interested in that filter, but so far it's worked really great. I don't have long-term data to share with you in terms of reliability, but it's ultra quiet. Came with a UV sterilizer in line that you can choose to either put in there or not. For right now it's in there, but the option is there. So very competitive price. I've had zero issues with it. Seems to be working like a workhorse. So we've got the light, we've got the filter. The other thing, the sand. And this is going to seem a little bit strange, but the sand is actually this Carib Sea cichlid mix. And you're like, whoa, time out. Why would you put that in a tank? As you can see with our fish, you know, the pistils that we have in here are South American that enjoy a lower pH, and you're putting an African cichlid mix sand in the tank. Well, what you have to realize is the natural pH of our water comes out pretty much around an 8. This sand is designed to bring up pH in the upper 7s to about an 8, so it really had zero impact on our water. It had no impact on pH, and it had next to no impact on TDS. I tested it both before and after. Because our water is naturally relatively hard, because our water has a high pH, it really didn't matter. These fish, the epistles that you see here, were bred in Chicago water, so this is what they're used to anyway. So we can get away with using the Carib Sea African cichlid mix in this tank with these epistles without any issues. Again, I will put a link in the description below, an Amazon link in case you're interested. I love the sand. It's a larger type of sand. The recommendations are, the specifications are somewhere between 5 and 10 millimeters. So I really like that. It'll be, if I ever needed to gravel vac, and I don't anticipate doing that because of the plants, but it's something that would probably gravel vac okay, because it's not a really fine sand. I really wanted the color. I didn't want a super white sand. I wanted something with a little bit more tan color to it, and that's exactly what we got. Joanna did a good job. She kind of, in the center, we've got the rock structure, and then she put some pebbles along that rock structure, smaller pieces of gravel, and then outside of that, we've got the sand. I just really like the flow of what she did. The wood is Manzanita wood. We got it from a local fish store, got a few pieces, and she tied some plants to that. And again, we'll talk about the plants in a moment and what we've got going on there. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the fish. Right now, I've already mentioned we've got epistos in here. These are Epistogramma agassizii fire reds. I picked them up from one of our local clubs. We had a holiday party, and I ended up getting these using my club points, so they actually didn't cost me any dollars. I got 9 of them. They're still small, and they're not showing a lot of color just yet, but they will. And again, we've got 9. We'll move fish around as we need to if we find out that 9's a little bit too much for this footprint, although I don't anticipate a lot of problems. You never know. So we'll move them around, like I said, as we need to. We also have, as you can see here, we've got 3 or 4 super red bristlenose plecos in here, just kind of keeping the algae down. When we originally put the wood in, it was covered in a bacterial slime or fungus, and the plecos took care of that in short order. So it's normal to get a fungus or bacteria growth on wood when you first put it in a tank. Ours did, not a big deal. It cleared up in about a week or so, and the plecos certainly helped with that. So here's what I want to know from you. We're not done stocking this tank. Yes, the epistos are in there. Yeah, they're going to get a little bigger. They're going to look a lot cooler. We've got the super red bristlenose in there as well, but we need some schooling fish. Now that you've got a better feel for the layout and the fish that are in there already, I would be super interested to hear your opinion. What type of schooling fish should we add? I've kicked around a number of different tetras and rasboras, and I would love to hear your opinion, so leave that in the comments section below, and we will begin adding a schooling fish to this tank at some point in the near future. So let's go ahead and talk plants. I love the plant selection that Joanna picked out, and we've got a lot of different plants going on in here. And again, there's a lot of filling out that needs to be done in this tank. So we have various types of crypts, and you can see them kind of on the perimeter. And then as we work our way in, Joanna tied some anubias to some of the wood. She's got some of it planted. We've got some Java fern as well, a couple different types of Java fern, probably at least 3 or 4 different types of anubias, and a couple different types of crypts. The planting of the tank, that's not done either. We're looking at other types of plants, maybe some smaller types of crypts that we're going to add still to the area here. But once these grow in a little bit more, I think it's going to look even that much better, especially the crypts, because they can get a real nice bushy look to them. I imagine they're going to stay relatively close to the ground because of how close the light is to the surface. But the planting of the tank is probably not quite done yet, but we definitely like where it's going. And again, the whole point was we wanted that area in the center of the tank to really have a place where fish could hide, hang out, feel comfortable, retreat when they don't want to be out in the open. And once we get the schooling fish in there, I think that's going to bring a lot of interest to the perimeter of the tank, which we really want to leave as an open space. Now we still have 2 more tanks to put up. We've still got 2 125s that we have to do along with Joanna's nano wall. That'll be coming in the next couple months. Those tanks are going to, hopefully we can aquascape those fairly decently, but there's also going to be some fish in there that are breeding. And again, we'll bring you along for that as soon as that happens. I certainly would love to hear your comments once again about the fish. I hope you enjoyed the tank. You'll see more of it. We'll give you updates as the plants grow in, as these Apisto agassizii fire reds grow up and start showing their color as we get the schooling fish in. So if you like this video, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.